Dr. V. How's it going?
Going good, going good. Welcome, everybody, to What About Remembering Me, where we talk about self care on so many different levels. And, it's back to school season.
It definitely is. For us, it's tomorrow. I have seen like on my Facebook feed, this is like one of my favorite times of the year too, as well, because it's like friends like near and far and relatives. You get to see those first day back to school photos and just how those kids have coordinated outfits. And parents are excited, some are not excited, about the start of another school year. So this is definitely one of my favorite times of year. And I try to get things pumped up, my kiddos pumped up to head back and transition from the summer into back into the academic rigor of what the school year will bring.
And with that, so I'm not there yet. I'm still in preschool. And so I'm like,
Mhm.
okay. But in preparing for the fact that kids are going back to school, whether it's that or they're starting college or they're going back to college, either way, like our lives change when the school year begins. If you've got kids either in school or college,
Mhm.
that you go through this fluctuation. And so today we just want to talk about, well, yes, we're being the chauffeurs
Mhm.
and we're now being the cooks on a regular basis and
Mhm.
we're being the ATM machine and everything that there is to come about,
Mhm.
that we don't forget ourselves
Exactly.
because school has started.
Mhm.
And as I was preparing for this, I read something and I was like, oh my God, like this is absolutely true.
Mhm.
That, we've talked about before in other episodes that we do self care, like, you know, the bubble baths and the getting our nails done and getting our hair done. But then I read it was just like, we are doing self care as though it's like a holiday, like a special event.
Mhm.
And it's something we do on Mother's Day, it's something we do on Valentine's Day, instead of it really being a part of our everyday lives. And they gave an example of, would you really only eat on a holiday?
Mhm.
And it's like, no, but that's what we're doing when it comes to self care, that
Mhm.
we're not taking care of ourselves on a daily basis, which is why we're feeling deprived. And so we
Mhm.
want to go ahead and start the school year off right, where
Mhm.
we are taking care of ourselves on a daily
Mhm.
basis.
And so this is for caregivers. So if we're starting the school year off right, we're thinking about, okay, you are modeling some behaviors for some little ones on how this should be done. So even though this is, for yourself, this is going to be filling your cup, you're also modeling behaviors for your children because I think about, oh my goodness, I have a child that's transitioning to a new middle school. Middle school is one thing, but middle transitioning to a new school as a middle school
Mhm.
student, it's like, okay, I know that there's certain things for myself I need to keep in check. And I know that there's certain things for him that he needs to keep in check in terms of the balance of how do we address the rigor of a middle school, a new type of middle school. If I'm not doing it, what's the expectation for him? He's not going to be doing it, either. So just know that as we're practicing this and falling into the groove and falling in love with taking care of ourselves, this is going to be a great modeling type of behavior for our kiddos who are doing the same exact thing too as well. So I had a little list, right?
Okay.
Just some of the things, because like I said, school for us starts back tomorrow. So these are some of the things where I was like, this school year, I could think about school years past, right? And it could be like up to the night before where I am scrimmaging, I am just trying to get things together, double checking list of needed school supplies. I was like, this year, not having it. This year I was like, I want the Sunday before school to start to be restful, to be
Mhm.
relaxful, to be chill, to make sure that
Yes.
bedtime flows. So it kind of started for me, like I want to say several months ago, right? Several months ago,
Okay.
yeah, several months ago, okay, I was really grateful that my schools, like in the schools, the public schools, they had their school supply list out before summer even started.
Wow.
So over the course of the summer, when I saw things on sale, I was like, oh, they're gonna need this. Oh, they're gonna need that. So it was like only like towards the end where, like they do like those little specialty things that your kids really love and enjoy. Like, I want this fancy water bottle. Okay, that's gonna be your little treat. And please don't lose it. That it was like towards like the end of the summer where I was like, okay, just picking up these little bit of things,
Hmm.
here and there. Or, having a growing preteen kid, I was like, okay, I'm not going to buy pants now. I'm going to wait because I don't want you to have high water. Not, I don't want you to have highly cut pant hems before the school year starts. So it was just thinking about how do I prioritize and plan this so when it comes to the day before school, the Sunday evening before school, we're all restful, going into that. So I just want to say, be mentally prepared. Like, if you've got something going on, prepare yourself. And I know, I speak for a place of privilege where I can go ahead and get these things and stuff done too as well. And I know some families really depend on school drives to get things in place. But even knowing ahead of time, okay, the school drive is going to be the Sunday before, the Saturday before school starts. It opens at 8 a.m. If at all possible for me to get there at 8 a.m. to be in and out of that rush to get what it is that I need, to go ahead, and do that too. So I want to say, take the preparation when you see things on sale. And even throughout the course of the school year, as you see
Yes.
things on sale, these children, I don't know where their pencils go. I think it's the same place their other socks go. Because you only end up with one set of socks. I think it's the same. The pencils go to the same, the highlighters go to the same place. You lose a whole composition notebook. Like, how? We're gonna work on that. But it's like, you have extra, have a little surplus if you can to go ahead and replenish it. If you know that your children are going to be doing a science project this year where they're going to need those trifold boards, right? Go ahead and pick that up. So when they tell you, oh yeah, science fair project is due on Friday, or I have this other special history project, go ahead and these things. Pick up the bulk of the things
Yes.
that you know that you're going to need, so you can have your own little supply dash on hand, so you can just transition just in terms of supplies. You can have those type of things, on deck. Okay. But before all this, and if you haven't started it, this is what we're going to start today before school starts, is a routine. Your children need
Yes.
to have a school time routine. I don't know about you, Dr. B, but I'm hearing a lot of school-aged parents in my private practice still telling me, even during this course of the school year, their 8-year-old is going to bed at 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock, or we just let them fall asleep whenever it is that they want to fall asleep. And I was like,
Girl,
oh, ooh,
in my job right now, I've talked to parents whose 3 and 4 year olds are like telling them when they will or will not go to sleep. And I'm like, they're 3 and 4. I don't understand.
yeah. And the good, and what parents sometimes don't understand and realize is that children crave predictability. They love to know what is going to happen next. Setting routines for children, oh my gosh, it sets this pattern of behavior, this pattern of expectation of, okay, if I do this, I know this is going to happen. So I encourage you to set a routine. And especially for school age children, setting a routine where those who have devices, that we're taking their devices away at least an hour before bedtime. Screen time, we're diminishing that at least an hour before bedtime, and setting a bedtime. They can have quiet time in their room before they drift off to sleep, but just knowing that at a certain hour, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, for some of our high school students who are waking up super early, oh my gosh, just getting them in a space of, this is how I can decompress. This is how I can decompress without a device. This is how I can decompress without, television, but helping them get into that routine. And if it's not something they're used to, just know it's going to be a transition, but it's going to be a routine that they fall into, that they're going to end up enjoying as young adults. Seriously, because I crave my bedtime.
But even as we as adults, we need routine because
Yes.
routine brings predictability, like you
Mm-hmm.
said. It also just brings a sense of security to
Mm-hmm.
know what to expect, when to expect it. I know that dinner is going to be served at this time and that I should be reading my books at this time. And then you, even
Mm-hmm.
as parents, we
Mm-hmm.
need these children in bed by a particular time
Mm-hmm.
because we need our alone time
That part.
before we go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I have talked to other therapists whenever they have couples that have children, their first question is, does your child have a bedtime?
Mm-hmm.
And if they are saying no, they're like, before we can even get into anything, that child needs to be in bed by a particular time because you're not having any alone time with your significant other.
Mm-hmm.
So that routine is not just for the kids, it
Mm-hmm.
helps us out as
As
adults as
well.
well.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So definitely making sure that those routines. Okay, and so this can go for I can say this could even go for some preschoolers as well because they can understand little 1 and 2 step directions. So from our preschoolers all the way up to our college students, as we're saying our goodbyes, is to set the expectation. What is
Hmm.
the expectation for this particular school year? It is not for me to say, yes, I need you to be an AB student, right? Because not every student is an AB student, but I want you to try your best. And I want you to communicate with me when you are being challenged and when things are not falling into place the way you feel they need to fall into place. Communicate with me, right? Set the expectation. Communicate with me if you're having a problem with a peer that you can't problem solve at school. If you're having problems with a teacher, I need you to communicate that with me too as well, because by the time they get to college, right, I cannot be there to help you problem solve
No.
problems with your friends. I can't be there to do that. I cannot. Oh my gosh, Dr. B, I've had this happen to me as an adjunct where a parent will communicate with me the struggles that their college student, their adult college student, is having. And I was like, are they in the hospital? No. Did they get into a serious accident? No. Why are you inquiring to me as the parent as to what is going on with your adult child when it's something that's non-emergency? This is a conversation that I can be having with them to help them problem solve their particular issue within this course that they're taking, that they're paying for, that they're getting credit for. That's going to be their degree, so it's those type of things. And when I say this is where the modeling comes in, how do we help them in terms of problem solving, but it's setting the expectation for the school year. What okay, listen, we know you had them problems last year, right, with leaving your lunchbox. If we lose, I will provide you with one lunchbox, and there are paper bags in the cabinet. If you lose that one said lunchbox, then you revert to paper bags, or you use your own allowance to purchase yourself another lunchbox. But it's the expectation of no, what I am going to do and what you're not going to do is stress me out over a lunchbox. But it's the expectation in terms of homework.
Mhm.
As parents, I know sometimes we get, oh, what's going on? We're not talking about your grades. What's the expectation? I love how schools have moved towards this digital era where parents can look up, they can communicate with teachers so much more accessibly. But what is the expectation? Once a week, we're going to have a conversation about how things are going academically in school. So it's not an everyday type of pressure thing like, how are you doing in history? Did you study for history? Did you fail a
Mhm.
history test? It's not, we don't want to berate our children like that, but we say, okay, you have your designated study time. Let's check in maybe before the exam if you want me to, but at least once a week, we're going to check in just about school so they can know that, okay, these conversations are going to be coming up, these conversations are going to be happening. For our college age kids, right? Yeah, I'm gonna check in just like how you have midterms. I can't look up anything, but I would love to have a conversation with you. Seriously, at midterms, how are you doing? What are the grades looking like? Are you struggling in anything? How can we pivot? Because at this point, there's some things that we can still do where you don't sink and
Right.
fail. If we need to pivot, I want to help you think through how you can particularly pivot through a certain situation. But it's to set this expectation up at the beginning of the year, because when we don't set expectations, what happens, Dr. V? What happens?
Called stress. That's all I'm hearing is we are really trying to train and prepare our children to be functional, productive adults.
Mhm.
And it starts at pre-K, it starts at kindergarten, so that we are not, as the adults, as the parents, being stressed out and overwhelmed because our kids don't know how to handle anything. So there are going to be those things that they're going to be bringing to us. I mean,
Mhm.
they don't know everything and they are still trying to navigate and figure out life. But
Mhm.
what have we put in place? What have we sown into them so that we can try to help them nurture it
Mhm.
so that it's not every day, every 5 minutes, or texting, calling. What do I do? How do I do this? What do I do? What do I do? And we're like, oh my gosh, leave me alone. But they've gotten there because there's things that we have not done. So it's like working so far in advance
Mm-hmm.
so that during this time when school starts, when they're off in college, we can just have like a hey, what's going on type conversation and not a
Mm-hmm.
freak out, how do I boil an egg type
Mm-hmm.
conversation.
Conversation. Yes, exactly. And so, as therapists, I think we would be remiss to say this is to prioritize our own mental health. Like to
Yeah.
seriously think about what it is that we are going through as parents. Because this could be a lot. I could think about, oh my goodness, you don't remember like the first day I dropped off my son, you called me. The first day I dropped off my son to
I
preschool, right?
Oh my God, you remember? I don't even remember.
See, I was on my, let me tell you something. I dropped him off, right? And this was me returning back to work, after, after, taking my postpartum leave. And just out of the blue, this is God, nothing but God. She's like, hey, Sam, you never call me in the morning, like never. And you called me that morning. And I was like, oh my God. Just dropped off daycare, and I'm just trying to get myself together. It was even knowing that, okay, I know this is a part of it. I did not allot time in between, okay, this drop off before the rush to get into the office. And it was a reminder like, okay, the universe just shot me something. You need to pause, drop him off, and you need to make sure you have a 30-minute window to get yourself together before you step in. And you're present for the people that you need to be present for. So just know that, oh my goodness, if this is a tough transition for you as a caregiver or as a parent, seeing that it's like the first time you're home alone or the first time you're returning to work, or just knowing that, oh my goodness, I can't, this is not like daycare anymore. I really have to leave this in the teacher's hand. I just can't pop up to a public school, in the middle of the day just to
Mhm.
say hi, like, I used to do at daycare. Prioritize yourself. Really ask yourself, what is it that you're going to need to sustain yourself, throughout the day? If it means, okay, I need to do my own check-in with someone, be it a therapist or a friend, just to check in to say where I'm at, how am I doing with this transition, do that for yourself. And I work a lot with adolescents, and I want you to prioritize your adolescents' mental health too, as well. Their
For
brains
sure.
are just doing what adolescent brains do in terms of development, and it is a lot. It is a lot to say, okay, I got peers I got to deal with, I got demands of teachers, I got the demands of my parents, my body is doing all types of things that
Hmm.
I don't know. Even if you had a child who emotionally, social emotionally has been doing okay, just to know that the transition to a new school year, in those tween to even young adult years too as well is challenging. And there should be no stigma if your child says, I just need to talk to somebody, and that somebody doesn't, it can't necessarily be you. So to say, oh my gosh, let me set it up with a professional, maybe it's a mentor from church, maybe it's a mentor, in the community, just so your child can have somebody to say,
Yes.
okay, all these feelings that I am feeling, all these emotions, and sometimes they don't even have the words for it yet because it's all so new. To prioritize, okay, yes, this is someone that my child can speak to. This is the safety net in terms of my child's mental health, as they're making this transition to school. And so they're just experiencing things that their bodies are doing for the first time.
So
Okay.
yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's all of those things. We're wanting to love our children, be a part of every single moment that they have, the field trips,
Mm-hmm.
all of the at school activities and awards that are going to be taking place. So I know these schools put out those calendars, whether it's for just the school year. So you already know when the teacher planning days are. So
Mm-hmm.
already have in your head, what are you going to do with them on that teacher planning day? Because that
Mm-hmm.
teacher planning day did not pop up overnight.
It
It was
didn't.
already there.
Secure your babysitter from now if you know you need to be at work, or figure out, get together with other parents. Maybe we can do like a pool, okay, so I'll take this day off, I'll take this teacher planning day, and I'll have the kids. You take this teacher planning day off, you'll have the kids. Create I see that as co-op, a little, your own little community of how do you
Yes.
figure this out, but do not let it creep up on you that yes, October 2nd is a, I don't know if that, don't quote me, y'all looking at calendars and stuff like that. No, but you look and you see like, oh my goodness, how did this pop up on me? I have to be at work, who's going to watch, the children, during that time, or there's an additional fee for, school services,
Yes.
I mean, if they're going to watch the child, during that time, plan, prepare ahead of time. And if you can't figure it out, this is when you tap into that village to say,
Ooh,
this
that
is
was, I was thinking that village, village, village.
this I have these teacher planning days. I just started this new job. I cannot take any time off. Can you guys help me problem solve about who's going to watch, I need someone safe to watch my child, during these days. How can I help you support it? I have had like I was working with a woman one time and she expressed that to her church, and her church was like, how much money do you usually make, on those days? And she was like, it's $150, for the day. And they were like, boom, love offering.
Oh,
Take the time off.
wow.
Take the time off, to be with your child. And I know everybody's situation is not going to be of such, but once she opens her mouth to say, hey, the church already had it in mind. No one here can help you in terms of childcare, and we really don't know anybody else. But what we can
Mhm.
do is gather a love offering for you on these 5 days that you need to make sure that you can stay home, take the day off, spend it with your child, and it's covered for this school year. But we'll also be looking into other things, for you. So I mean, open your mouth and tap into your village. Mhm.
For sure.
Yeah. And I think like the last thing that I can think of, Shamika, in terms of, self-care, right? Oh gosh, is, oh, I know I mentioned that, your behaviors are really modeling what children are experiencing.
Yes.
But I think like one of the big things that I get in my practice, with a lot of young adults, right, is they're talking about their home environment and just, just what it was like at home and the struggles of home, the struggles of dealing with parents, the struggles of this, and how it impacted them academically, or it really changed a lot of what they wanted to do academically. Like, I couldn't dream of going off to college because I knew I had to take care of, this.
Mhm.
I had to financially support my younger siblings. I want to say for all the caregivers out there, check your home environment, check it, right? Because really what you are doing is you're setting the tone for your children as in terms of, how they can dream. And I think if you can check your home environment, it starts with you. What do I really want for myself? What do I really want from my children? To dream. I think dreaming and just having aspirations is such a big part of self-care. Some of our dreams we know are lofty, like, oh goodness, yes, if I can just sit, on the shores of Greece, all day, every day, no work, none of that. They're lofty, but some of the things are really real. Like for me to say that, I want to get myself to a space and place in retirement where at least 2 months out of the year I'm here and I'm planning towards that. And my children can see that dream and they can see that vision for me too, as well. But I want to say, check your home environment to know that there is this balance of, what are our dreams? What are our goals? What are our aspirations as a family? School isn't everything. It is a piece of the puzzle of
Yes.
our lives. But what is it that we really want for ourselves? And what is it that we really want for our families? Because the whole thing of saying, okay, I'm doing all the stress to get prepared for you to go back to school, it's not for them to be in school. It's really dreaming about the adults that we want them to be.
Mhm.
I want to say, do a status check of your home environment. If there's something going on with, you, a partner, your friends, that is coming into the home that is impacting how your children are progressing through the school year, check that. Because that's not, if it's not good for them, it's definitely not good for, you either. And really begin to wonder, what does a better dream look like for my child? What does a better reality, look like, for my child? If you look into your refrigerator, and we know these children need to run more, they can't run on Takis and little, and those little muffins and little bites. They can't run on that. We can't run on that. So just to check your environment in terms of what are they eating? What kind of fuel am I giving them, during the school day? What kind of fuel am I giving them in their home, environment, too, as well? Do I have water to give them too as well? Because we can't be drinking the soda pop and all these just checking around, and it doesn't have to be something that you're hyper vigilant about, but just check the home environment to say, is this a safe space? Schools really try to strive to make themselves safe spaces. And what I hear sometimes from my young adults is that school was my safety net. School was my safety zone. They shouldn't just have that 1/3 of the day be a safe space, but just to make sure home is a safe space, school is a safe space. And as we send them out in the community, how can we wonder, envision, that's a safe space too? So, Dr. B, that's just a brief list. But I
Yes.
think the list for people who haven't thought about it, really just to think, what is it going to, how do I move into this school year just truly taking care of myself, and what does that even begin to look like?
And as we're coming to an end, we have our own priority.
Mhm.
This isn't about saying that we do not love our children,
Mhm.
but truly, if we are not feeding ourselves, if we are not taking care of ourselves, if we are not pouring into ourselves socially, emotionally, mentally, and physically,
Yeah.
nutritionally,
Mhm.
we are not going to be what's needed for our children.
Yeah.
We're not going to have the capacity to plan and think ahead when all I'm doing is worrying about where my next 50 cents is going to come from.
Yeah.
So it's
Mhm.
all of those things that we've got to do for ourselves. Yes, we do need to sleep. Yes, we do need to
Mhm.
eat right. Yes, we do need to
Right.
budget. All
Mhm.
of those things are a part of being a very functional adult that's
Mhm.
actually responsible,
Yeah.
but it trickles down to our kiddos.
Mhm.
And I am quite sure when all of us were either pregnant or we were watching our partner be pregnant or we were waiting for our baby to arrive
Mhm.
because we were adopting, whatever it may be, we
Mhm.
had these dreams and aspirations.
Yes. Mhm.
We were all dreaming and thinking of like, oh my God, this is what they could become. I don't even know who you are. I can't even see. You're just a little
Yeah.
blob right now on the sonogram, but oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Let's keep that same energy
Yeah.
as they get older, as they're breaking the plates and breaking the glasses and doing all those things that they
Mhm.
developmentally are going to do,
Mhm. Mhm.
that we're not losing sight of those dreams and aspirations. But it starts with us
Yeah.
because they don't know what to do. We are
Mhm.
bringing children into this world that they don't know what to do.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I like to always tell our parents at my job, I'm like, you, the parent, are your child's first learner.
Mhm.
It's not the teachers that are here, like they are
Mhm.
great, but it's going to be you that's
Mhm.
going to instill what they love, what they desire, what they look towards. But it
Mhm.
also can be us that could kill a
Mhm.
dream
Yes.
because if we're not doing okay, who knows what could be spewing out of our mouths.
Exactly.
So
Mhm.
if you do find yourself in that place of like, my home life isn't the best
Mhm.
and I have not been happy, you can always make a change. It does not have to stay that way, but
Mhm.
it's going to take you taking that first step of what do I need to do? It's
Mhm.
like that low hanging fruit.
Mhm.
What can I easily do that isn't a big uplift
Yeah.
to change the trajectory for my child, but also to take care of myself?
Mhm. And I want to say too, oh goodness, I just thought about this. That should have been on the list. Get involved in them children's schools.
Oh
Like,
my gosh,
I
yes.
hate going to PTO meetings where it's like, okay, we know this is a 1,500 student population school and they're like 6 parents, or they're 10 parents, and it's the same 10 parents year after year holding it down. Become involved in your child's school. Be curious. It is community. This is their community. This is where they're spending a lot of their great waking hours of their day. So be it from elementary, middle, or to high school, become involved in some type of capacity in that school. I think when the administrators know you and they know you in a positive regard, that can be helpful in case your child
Oh,
ever
yes.
comes up to a situation. It's like, okay, you're not brand new to me. I can have this conversation. And your child knows, like, my mother is up here, or my father, or my caretaker is up here from time to time. So it also sets the tone of these people know my parents, so let me just go ahead and watch how I conduct, myself. I want to say the helicopter parent in college is not a thing, but there are so many support groups. I think about, as my daughter transitioned, my oldest daughter transitioned to college, there was a support group for her graduating class. It was a Facebook group, right? So these were all the incoming, caregivers of freshmen, and we
Oh,
followed our
wow.
kiddos year after year, giving suggestions, things that we can talk about parents. Some parents would hop on like, I'm really struggling. She said that she needs to stay there for Christmas and can't come home. What should I do? She was like, this is my first Christmas without my baby. So, I mean, even things like that, people have become like really creative as they transition about ways that we can continue to support, ways that we can continue to be involved, where we're not overbearing, like to remind them, okay, you graduated. Do you want to join your alumni association? You can get these discounts, just those gentle reminders of things that as parents in conversation, that we can do, and we can feel supported as they're making these transitions.
So again, thank you all. And we hope that you got so much out of this. Share this with anybody who has a child going to school,
Yeah.
college, who has a child, even if they are not and they are in preschool like mine, they
Yeah.
still need this. We need it. So please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And we look forward to seeing you with the next drop on self-care.
Yes, take care.